registered under.
Thank you, Anisha.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Girl Up Caribbean is a club. Okay, so let me start with my introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Ria, the regional director of India at Girl Up Caribbean. Girl Up Caribbean is a club registered under Girl Up United Nation Foundation based in Caribbean region with young passionate individuals that are engaged together in the fight for women's rights, climate justice and human rights. We want to reach a new level of consciousness on the obstacles women and girls are facing in this region on a daily basis. Our mission is to champion women's empowerment and gender equality by advocating for equal rights, opportunities, and representation. Through education, advocacy, collaboration, we aim to break down barriers, glass ceiling, change societal norms, and create a more inclusive and equitable world for all of us. Last year, we have had our annual conference on gender justice that brought together NGOs, civil societies, activists, and youth leaders from all over the world and across the world to discuss on transitional justice, measure to help combat sexual abuse and sexual health education. This conference was mainly focused on gender mainstreaming, comprehensive sexual curriculum, human rights, sexual abuse, and harmful practices such as FGM, child marriage, etc. So, Girl Up Caribbean is fully immersed in the movement of equal opportunity for young boys and girls, access to quality of education and healthcare. We are headquartered at Santo Domingo, Santiago, and we are a non-profit and a non-governmental organization founded in 2023. So, just to start with a short bio of our speaker, Dr. Ramya Nisal, we welcome you, ma'am, uh, to this platform and heartfully welcome that you choose to come here and choose to enlighten us all in this. So, to start with a small intro of speaker, she is a general surgeon and director of a super specialty nursing home with 27 years experience in the medical field. She has an MS general surgery and an MA in counseling psychology. Her strength lies in counseling patients pre and post surgery, as she believes that many surgical procedures and illness have a direct effect on one's mind, and building awareness is critical to recovery and well-being of the patient. Dr. Ramya partnered with Sakshi for the Rakshan project, contributing to the development and design of the online workshops and webinar on preventing child sexual abuse. For over past 4 years, she has trained thousands of students and make them Rakshans. And heartfully, I'm one of them and very delighted to say that openly to everyone. And in her spare time, she likes to read, travel, cycle, track in the Himalayas. So thank you for coming, ma'am. And yes, we can start with the session now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I request a few more cameras on? And if you can rename yourself, that will be good. That we don't want any Samsungs and Oppos here. But to begin with, thank you very much for spending this time with us on a Sunday morning for you. Am I right? So, welcome to this webinar of the Rakshan Project. And when we start, we usually start with a trigger warning. And if any of you have any problem understanding something that I'm saying, following something that I'm saying, please raise your Zoom hand and ask. We can pause and tell you, explain it better to you. Another reason for you to raise your Zoom hand would be if you feel triggered by this. You want to change the topic, if you want to ask any questions. For all these reasons, please raise your Zoom hand. We'll pause, we'll give you a chance to talk because we would like this to be an interactive session, not a face on learning, right? So, with this trigger warning, I'm also telling you a little bit about the agenda of the webinar. We're going to be talking about quality, consent, So we have one small hitch here, I thought, that our webinars are all focused on the Indian scenario. So we have an act, a law called the POXO Act, which is the basis for all the discussions that we do. But I'm sure your country will have similar rules. And this is a stimulus for you to go and check what the law says in your own country. I'm sure you must have read it to some extent about it. It may be a chance for you to read in greater depth. And we will be talking about the barriers to preventing child sexual abuse and how we can create a safe space for children. So these are the topics that we are going to be discussing. We are from Sakshi. Sakshi is an organization which believes that equality is inclusiveness. And we are pioneers in two fields. We have been working for gender equality since 1992. We are pioneers in two fields, that is prevention of child sexual abuse and prevention of sexual harassment at workplace. So to have a few etiquettes here, but before that, can I say once more thank you to Ria for organizing this for us. The etiquettes are that we request you to keep your microphones on mute, as all of you have already done. But again, I would request if you can keep your cameras on, it will be as though we are talking face to face. So I'm asking you to keep your microphones off. So how will you ask questions? So you can ask questions by raising your Zoom hand. You can ask questions by typing in the chat box, and we will give you answers to all your queries. We are here for as much time as you need. And at the end of the webinar, of course, we'll address all the questions in the chat box. And sometimes what happens is you may feel that everything's been explained so well. Why would I have any queries? But sometimes you do. And if that happens, we have an email ID, hello@sakshi.org.in. So even if your queries come to your mind 2 or 3 days later, you can still ask them of us and we will get back to you. Right? So you must have received a form in the beginning. That was the attendance form, which you filled out. We will have another form with the same set of questions. So what is your knowledge and attitude before the webinar and how does it change after the webinar? This is a small comparison that we like to do. So please fill up the completion form too, because that is how we'll be able to give you your certificates. We have a computer generated code. We will feed all that information into the code and then we'll be able to give you the certificates, right? So how was your COVID period? Were you told, was there a sort of lockdown? Were you prevented from going out? Anybody? So this is where the interaction starts. I would like to hear from you. Were your movements restricted during COVID? Were you told not to go out too much, not to party, not to mingle with people? Yes or no? You could do this or this also. Yeah. So similarly in our country also. But what happened was, thank you, Mia. So what happened was that people started staying at home to stay safe from COVID. But that made the shadow pandemic explode. So there were so many distress calls on the helplines that from people who are facing domestic violence, sexual violence at home, because everybody was at home. They were cooped up in a small place. And that led to an increase in the shadow pandemic. Though people were safe from COVID, this sexual violence and domestic violence escalated. So we realized that if we want to make homes a safe space, it is safe for so many of us, but at the same time, it is not safe for everybody. So to make homes safe for each and every child in this world, thought we needed to increase the awareness and spread the word how we can make homes safe for everybody. So that is the basic essence of this Rakshan project, that prevent gender-based violence, what each and every one of us can do to prevent child sexual abuse, gender-based violence, how it is our responsibility to do it. So why are we talking to you? So we are talking to you because each and every one of you is a responsible citizen of your own country. And we want to move from punitive justice to transformative justice. So when we talk to you, you will protect the children around you. You will be able to talk to other people around you, the adults, the youth, just like you are, and spread the word that how we can give children a safe home. So that is why we talk to you. And through this, we also like to think that we give a few leadership skills to you: how to communicate, how to critical thinking, how to solve problems, how to develop your empathy. What is empathy? Is it the same as sympathy? It's not, right? It is to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and see how they must be feeling. So, with this objective, that we will give you some leadership skills to prevent gender based violence, we are starting this webinar today. And we start with talking about equality because equality is the basic principle on which Sakshi operates. So, we have a short poll here that to all of us as citizens of our own nation, do we have equality and are we able to access our right to equality? What do you think? Quickly, these polls are going to be there for just 30 seconds. Thank you. Thank you so much. The answers have started coming in. The poll is going a little slow. Have I woken you all up from your sleep? Yes, equality should be a given, but I'm getting mixed answers here. And a lot of time, when we say that equality should be given, equality should be there, equality should be accessible, we are thinking of equality in different terms. It could be equal opportunities, it could be equal access to resources, it could be a gender equality sort of thing. So, what exactly are we talking about, and why are we discussing this access to equality in this manner? Let's watch a small video here and then we'll continue.
Everyone, line up, line up. Let's have a race. Tie your laces, take your mark. The winner of this race will get 2000 rupees. But before I start, I will make a few statements. If these statements are true for your life, then take 2 steps forward. If they are not the truth of your life, then stand exactly where you are. Take 2 steps forward if you live in a house with a concrete roof. 2 steps forward if you have electricity round the clock. 2 steps forward if you've never been physically abused in your life. 2 steps forward if you've never experienced sexual violence. Those of you who are standing forward, turn around and take a look. Any statement made by me is not a result of any action that you've taken. This is not a result of any personal decision. You have no control over these situations. If we don't understand even now that some of us have had better opportunities than others, then that would be a mistake. Those standing in front have a better start, but those standing behind will have to run this race as well. This is the time to understand that not all stories are the same. This is the time to understand the life of another. Maybe today someone from the front will take this note home. But remember, you do not have this opportunity because of an action that you've taken. This is not a result of your intelligence or your hard work. Perhaps the race of life is exactly the same. Now, whoever is standing wherever, run for your life. On your mark, get set, go. If you can learn anything from this, it is that equality is our constitutional right, sure. But all situations are not the same. It is our responsibility. It is our constitution.
So, this is what we are talking about, that we live in different circumstances. There may be continuous electricity, there may be running water, there may be clean water, there may not be access to it. There may be access to medical help, there may not be access to medical help. But it is our responsibility. to see to it that everybody has access to equal resources, equal opportunities, and equal status. So, how does child sexual abuse interfere with our access to right to equality? So, what happens is when a child is abused sexually, even after growing up, that leaves a mark on the child. These children will be scared. Some of them may be aggressive that why did this have to happen to me? Some of them may feel humiliated, may feel guilty that did I cause it? And all this leads to depression, anxiety, so many emotional, irrational responses, emotional baggage. And when this happens, they cannot compete on an equal platform. And every child, every person has to run the race of life. Once we are born on this earth, we have to continue with the race of life. And how can a person who's depressed or anxious run the race of life as well as we do? So that is why if each one of us takes the baton of preventing child sexual abuse, we will be giving all these children a chance, an opportunity to run the race of life from an equal line. And that is what we want to do when we prevent child sexual abuse.
Everyone, line up.
So, to move on to the topic of discussion, again, there is a little bit of an Indian context here. The prevalence in our country is 1 out of 2, undergoing some form or the other of child sexual abuse. What would you say is the prevalence in your area? Do you have any idea? Anybody? Can you type in the chat box or unmute and talk? So you can continue to type in the chat box if you have any idea, but I will move on with the webinar that 1 out of 2 children in our country get abused sexually in some way or the other. And that is why seeing this huge figure that 50% of our population is abused, we needed to do something. And Sakshi's battle started with a case where a 6-year-old child was abused. And this 6-year-old child had to face the court, the judges, the lawyers, and go through that whole process. And despite doing all that, we lost the case because the definition of sexual abuse or rape in our laws at that time was very narrow. So we filed a public interest litigation against the Union of India, and we got this POXO Act passed through that. And this POXO Act, which stands for Protection of Children from Sexual Offences, has an expanded definition. It has included court-friendly measures, child-friendly measures in court, and one clause of accountability that if we know of a case of sexual abuse, we have to report it. And we have certain websites and childline numbers to report it. But what is it that we will be reporting? What are the behaviors? So what do you think are the forms of sexual abuse that children may be facing? Would you like to discuss it? Anybody?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I'm asking, what do you think are the ways in which children can be abused sexually?
Being forced to do sexual acts that they don't want to do, being touched in inappropriate ways, even if it's seen as innocent. When a child says no to something and then someone continues to do it, just because they think since they're a child, they have some authority over them.
Absolutely. So true. So,
Nice.
yes, yeah. Lydia,
Oh.
tell me.
Yeah, I was just agreeing with my sister there, and also I just wanted to say, okay, it's my thinking. Like, what about like being forced to watch something like pornography or nude?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
That too. What else? What else would you think are forms of child sexual abuse?
Being forced to, like, even doing things with other children can be seen
Correct.
as sexual abuse. Even though
Correct.
some children that sexually abuse other children are doing it because it's done to themselves, that still is sexual abuse.
Correct. So there are many, many ways in which children can be abused sexually, which could be a visual way of abusing them, a verbal way of abusing them, or a touch by which they can be abused. So those are the categories in which you were all talking, right? So being made to watch sexual acts, being made to watch pornography, being told online, sent intimate pictures, or asked to send intimate pictures. These are all forms of sexual abuse. This is a visual way of doing it. Other visual ways would be exhibitionism. Do you know what flashing is?
Yes, when someone like quickly shows someone their intimate parts.
So flashing is a form of sexual abuse. Making children watch sexual activity is a form of sexual abuse. Do you know what voyeurism is?
Can you repeat that, please?
Voyeurism
No,
is a
ma'am.
voyeur. Have you heard this word?
I have not.
So that is a word in the dictionary, which means exposing the child's genitals and taking pleasure in watching them. A voyeur is one who takes pleasure in watching another's sexual organs, intimate parts, right? So either showing their genitals or watching the child's genitals, both forms of it are sexual abuse. This is sexual exposure. Now, there will be people who pretend to be doing it for keeping the genitals clean under the pretext of hygiene. They keep touching the child's genitals, exposing the child's genitals, and just seeing whether it is clean or not. There will be people who will repeatedly ask children or talk to children about sexual activity, their sexual preferences, their what sexual conduct they would follow. So that talking to children and stimulating their curiosity about sexual activity is called sexual preoccupation. These are also forms of sexual abuse for children because children don't know what they're being exposed to. Similarly, we call it fondling. We've seen the touching with a sexual intent. So touching the child like this is not fondling. It's caressing the child. But touching the child not like this, but like this is fondling. That is a form of sexual abuse. So somebody may say they're not touching their genitals, they're just touching their face or the cheek or the neck, but doing it with a sexual motive. That is fondling, which is a form of sexual abuse, as also genital contact, or we call it sexual humiliation. So, have you all heard that be strong, be a man? Have you heard that?
No.
Nobody says that to boys around you. Boys don't cry. Have you heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, boys don't cry. Boys don't wear pink. Boys don't have long hair. Boys don't like jewelry. You're a sissy. That is a form of sexual humiliation. We are using their sexual attributes and teasing and taunting them. Similarly, body shaming of some form or the other with girls. These are all ways in which we humiliate the child by teasing them, taunting them. Do you agree with that? Yes? So, what happens is when we use these sexual attributes to tease or taunt the child, children they develop a different impression of their own sexuality, which is not correct. It is never just a boy or a girl. It could be a third gender. It could be a lesbian, a gay, bisexual, or transgender, it could be intersex. There are so many other genders now. So Emily has asked, I think we'll address all these questions later. So these are all forms of sexual humiliation, which according to us are child sexual abuse behaviors which should be punished. So also threatening to harm the child, violence that targets a child's genitals, penetration of any or all orifice by foreign object or organ. So this is very important here because I told you about the case that we fought and we lost. And we lost that because at that time our laws said that rape is only penis and vagina. Any other object or organ entering the vagina is not rape, or penis and mouth or anus is not rape. Whereas these are all forms of penetrative assault, which is the equivalent of rape. So that is why this also needed to be considered as a separate entity, and we needed to pass a law saying that this is also as bad as rape is. Any other conduct that is harmful to the child's welfare or sexual interaction between youth. Now, here again, it is a country-specific thing, but we consider that any activity between two individuals who are under the age of 18, any sexual activity between them still comes under the law as a form of sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, because in our country, we don't take it as normal to have sexual interaction below the age of 18. So this is something that again is country specific. You will have to check it out. But definitely, even if a child consents to it and an adult, say 30, 40 years of age, is enticing the child into sexual activity by making her feel that this is something she wants, is a form of sexual abuse. So I will not be playing this video because there's a lot of Hindi in it. We do have subtitles, but I'll take you through some other videos. But this is a video about some doubts that we have, that if the child is willing, is it sexual abuse or not, child sexual abuse or not. So even if she is willing, as far as the Indian law is concerned, anything below the age of 18 is considered child sexual abuse and it has to be reported. So under our law, accountability is a clause. We have to report it, and these are the places where we can report it, and we can report it anonymously. We don't have to reveal who we are. But to move on with more behaviors, can you explain to me that producing pornographic content of children, blue films, is wrong? But do you understand why even owning or sharing this is considered a crime? Any idea? Anybody?
I'd like to try.
Yeah.
So I think it is considered a crime because anybody who shares or sells pornographic content of children, it's done one against their will and without the consent of the children, because we are looking at children and we are thinking that children are not allowed to actually consent to issues related to sex, to sex. And yeah,
Correct.
so they actually just share and get money off of it without protecting the welfare of the kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is why we can never allow producing pornographic content. And when this is produced and somebody is sharing it, again, they are making money by sharing it. So when somebody owns it or somebody shares it, what they do is create a demand. And when there is a demand, there is always somebody who will supply it. And in this, innocent children get trapped. So that is why, though producing is definitely a crime, even owning or sharing it is a crime, because the fact that you own something like that is you're creating a demand. So a person who creates a demand for this material is also considered guilty. Obviously, sexual exploitation that is using them for prostitution is wrong. And now we come to something that is taking the world by storm. We are a digital world now. And when there is so much digitalization, so many more things can happen online. And here, how are children affected? More and more children, younger and younger children, are becoming addicted to smartphones. And they are at that age where they can absorb everything very fast. And they learn. They learn even faster than we do how to use the internet, what to do there, what else they can do. And this is something that adults take advantage of. The adult who wants to abuse children takes advantage of the child's curiosity, and the child's ignorance to make them do things online, which they should not be doing. So these abusers can stalk the child, they can humiliate the child, cyberbullying, like they do on in person, or they can share child pornography, or they can ask the children to sext, that is sharing intimate pictures or having sexually explicit conversations over the phone, making advances, exposing them to sexually explicit material, and all of it needs to be reported. So we report it on a site called cybercrime.gov.in, but reporting is a must. So as for reporting, that is one thing that is, as I said, country specific and the law specific. But more important than that is understanding that these are all forms of child sexual abuse. We need to raise our voice against it. So now I'm going to share one video with you, which is again in Hindi but with English subtitles, and we'll discuss it after the video is over.
क्यों धुंधली अब बाकी बचपन की सारी तस्वीरें हैं और कई यादें पत्थर पर कुरेदी लकीरें हैं। भूल पाते नहीं जाल सी बुनती उंगलियों का कांटों सा चुभना, गोद में बिठा पुचकार के पूछना, बेटा टॉफी खाओगे? और कसमसाने पे माँ तू ही मुझे कस के डांटती, बेटा चाचू हैं तेरे, अच्छे बच्चे मानते हैं कहना। इसके बाद कैसे करें शिकायत? भरी भीड़ में हमें छू के निकल जाने की, डराते कदमों का पीछे चले आने की, शरीर के अंगों पे कमेंट्स कसते जाने की, रात के अंधेरे में लिहाफ के अंदर हम पर चढ़ जाने की।
Could you get the context? Anybody?
Hello, pardon.
Yes.
You.
You didn't get it, right?
I didn't get your question. Okay, I watched the video. I've watched the video.
So did you understand what the video was saying?
Yes. Okay. From my understanding, I think the child is traumatized with whatever happened. Like, so the memories are following her in each and every place she goes. Like, from scratch, like everything that happened is like still fresh. Yeah, that's how I've understood.
So those memories are unpleasant memories of being ogled as a child, being stalked as a child, being touched inappropriately as a child. And they're not even able to talk, because do you realize how children are treated? And there is so much power and authority in the abuser. They don't allow the children a voice. And so often we think that this is okay, this is a part of growing up, right? When people ogle children, instead of calling out the behavior, we tend to say that, my child, this is so unfortunate, but why don't you do one thing? Just look the other way. Don't look at them. They're bad people. You be good. You look the other way. Does it happen? Anybody? Does it happen? When children are being stopped, we tell them to take a different route.
Yes, we do that.
Yes, it happens.
Yes. So, what that makes us think is that how can we normalize the sexual violence? How can we allow this to happen and just tell the child that you protect yourself? You go in a different route, you take a different route. If you're being touched inappropriately, you run away from there. Yes, we need to protect the child. We need to tell them ways in which they can be protected. But this protection will continue for years and generations to come unless we change what is happening. So, along with protection, instead of protection, if you can tell those people who are doing it, hey, stop ogling the child, stop following that child, then we will make a difference because we are pointing it out to them that don't do something wrong. You will be caught, you will be punished, whether it is by the law or by society. Now we have to start thinking in the way that we will punish the doer, not protect the person who's it is happening to. Do you agree with me? Can we change our mindset in that way? Yes or no?
Yes, we can. I believe we should all change our mindsets because if we normalize child violence in the form of sexual abuse, it means you're not creating a safe kind of space or environment to actually grow in because they'll be afraid to go out there to go report those perpetrators of sexual abuse since maybe their parents or their family said, don't report this person, you will bring shame upon our family. And we should deconstruct that kind of thinking because we all need to be safe, live in a very safe environment. Yeah.
Correct. So we talk of shame on the family. We think it is a blot on our family if the child is abused. Now we have to start thinking that it is a blot on our family if somebody in our family does something like that. So when we change that mindset, we will be creating a safe space for children, as Gladwell has said here. That is why we say that let us become Rakshin monkeys. Let us become people who will say that if I see something evil, if I hear something evil, I'm going to call it out. I'm not going to keep quiet. So, would you like to say that now that you understand the behaviors, now that you know the reporting mechanisms, or you know how to call it out, you will try to prevent child sexual abuse even before it happens? Yes or no?
Yes, personally, I will try to prevent sexual abuse in every way that I can.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how about all of you giving me a thumbs up? Give me a thumbs up. Thank you, thank you. So now, when we are calling it out, we say that let's learn to say no. Let's teach our children to say no. So, we as a society, we should learn the importance of saying no to something that is wrong. But I'm sure even in your communities, your society, you all respect elders, don't you? Don't we all respect our elders?
We do respect our elders.
Yes, we do.
So, do we teach our children also that you should respect your elders, you should listen to what they say, do as they say, they are your elders? Do we say that?
I feel
Yes,
like,
we that
sorry.
like provide the opportunity for the kids to be coerced to doing that, or maybe to doing things that are not good by the elders. So yeah,
Correct.
but we do ask them to obey everything that the elders say.
Correct. Because we believe in the goodness of our elders. And most of our elders are good, except for that fraction who abuse children or do something that they should not be doing. When we give a blanket statement that respect your elders, listen to what they say, do as they say, we forget to teach children that they have their personal boundaries, that they can decide who can come close to them, how people can behave with them. And in that, when we don't give the child a right to their own personal boundary, they in turn, when they grow up, they behave in the same way. That when I was a child, this is the way things were told to me. Now, this is the way it is going to be happening to you also, because you're a child, you have to listen to me. I'm an elder now. So that is why when we teach children to say no, when we ourselves learn to say no, then we are giving each and every person a right to their personal boundary. And when they have that personal boundary, they have the right to decide who can cross that and who cannot. So when we are talking of personal boundaries, we need to understand what is consent. And I have a small video. I would like you all to watch that.
If you're still struggling with consent, just imagine instead of initiating sex, you're making them a cup of tea. You say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they go, "Oh my God, I would love a cup of tea, thank you." Then you know they want a cup of tea. If you say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they're like, I'm not really sure." Then you can make them a cup of tea, or not, but be aware that they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important bit, don't make them drink it. Just because you made it doesn't mean you're entitled to watch them drink it. And if they say, "No thank you," then don't make them tea. At all. Just don't make them tea. Don't make them drink tea, don't get annoyed at them for not wanting tea. They just don't want tea, okay? They might say, "Yes please, that's kind of you." And then when the tea arrives, they actually don't want the tea at all. Sure, that's kind of annoying as you've gone to all the effort of making the tea, but they remain under no obligation to drink the tea. If you can understand how completely ludicrous it is to force people to have tea when they don't want tea, and you are able to understand when people don't want tea, then how hard is it to understand when it comes to sex? Whether it's tea or sex, consent is everything. And on that note, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea.
Can you substitute tea, sex? Do we ever force people to drink tea in this manner? But we do force them to have sex. I want it, I take it. So we need to understand that consent is very important. And when somebody doesn't give consent, we need to step back. But consent is a very complicated thing. Sometimes somebody just doesn't say anything and it is assumed to be yes. We don't even ask. Yes, Emily, that consent is very crucial. So many times, if somebody consents to have sex with us at one time, the next time we take it for granted that they will have sex with us. And we are embarrassed to ask that, did you enjoy it last time? Can we do it again this time? We don't want to ask that. We just assume, and we assume on their behalf and make a setting, dim lights, soft music. And then the other person is wondering that now the setting has been, the stage has been set. How can I say no? But it's always good to ask. It is never correct to assume. Now, put a different angle to it. How many times have we thought that a person who's looking sensual, wearing clothes of that kind, going to parties, she's asking for sex? Does it happen? She's on the lookout. So you want to say something here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Shall I?
Yes.
Okay. So, ma'am, there is this thing. people usually make this as very normal and unintentional, because if she slept with me 7 times and eighth time she started saying it's a rape he has done with me, it's ridiculous for many people. And I often hear in movies and even in real life people saying this. So yes, consent is crucial, even if 7 times it's consensual, but
Yes.
8 time it's not. It's no. So it
It's
means no only, ma.
correct. Absolutely right. So this is what happens, that people try to think that she's just being shy. And if I force it a little more, she will accept it. But at any time, even if it is the seventh or eighth time or 10th time, when that person says no, it is no. As also, person who has slept with 10 people and she doesn't want the 11th person. Ah, you can sleep with 10 people. You don't want to sleep with me. Why not? She's easy game. You understand that? That happens too. She's considered a person of loose character. So if she can sleep with 10 people, why not with me? So this is wrong. We can't assume that a person who has done it 10 times or with 10 people will be willing the other time. Absolutely. So better boundaries and clear communication. This is so, so important. And when it comes to a forced yes, think of the power difference, whether it is physical or mental, between a child and an adult. So you keep a knife to my throat and say that, are you going to do this or not? I will say, you do whatever you do with me, just don't push the knife in. That is physical force. What about the emotional force? Children are dependent on adults for everything, whether it is attention, whether it is affection, whether it is material things. And in that situation, when an adult says that if you don't do this, I'll be angry. If you don't do this, I'll feel sad. No child wants to make an adult sad or angry. Then you'll withdraw your attentions. Then you will not play with me. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't get angry. Don't be sad. So the correct type of yes would be an informed yes. You take all the information that you need. And then if you say enthusiastically, clearly, yes, I want to do this. Even such a simple thing as having a pizza out. Do you want to have a pizza? Yeah. What pizza? Where are you ordering it from? No, I don't like that place. Is it thin crust or thick crust? So I want a thin crust. So you make so many inquiries. Going for a movie, which movie, what time, what show. When you take all this information and then say yes, then it's an informed consent. And even that, in the matter of sex, it has to be over the legal age of consent. But suppose you have said yes, and then you change your mind. Is it allowed?
Yes, you're allowed to withdraw consent at any point.
Yes. But does the partner allow it? Does the partner allow it?
Many a times you'll find that the partner may not allow you to withdraw your consent, but some other partners may allow you to withdraw your consent. So here we see the need to actually educate both parties about withdrawal of consent. That if a particular partner decides that I'm not ready to actually proceed with whatever we were to do, you're not allowed to maybe probably touch me in any way. We should put an end to this and maybe revisit whenever any of us will be ready for that. But if a partner is not ready and the partner withdraws consent, that person's opinion should be respected.
Correct. In the middle of sexual activity? What about the middle of sexual activity? Any thoughts on this? Yes? A little confusing?
Oh, sorry. I wanted to add a point on if at all that scenario happens in the middle of sexual activity. I know it may be a bit hard to actually vocalize that you're not really willing to proceed with the sexual activity, and you'll think, oh my god, we've come all this way and now we have reached here and I'm about to tell this person, no, please don't proceed. I'm not comfortable, and you'll feel that you're feeling a bit shy, or you're hesitant, you're not really ready to put it out there. But all I can say is, if you're not ready, you're not ready. Please voice it out, tell the person, and I'm sure whichever partner you are with for the sexual activity ought to be a person who's rational enough to actually hear and heed to whatever you're saying and respect you. So I mean, it shouldn't change much. A no is a no. Withdrawn consent should be accepted as withdrawn consent. Yeah, so that's my stand.
Absolutely. But so many times it doesn't happen that way. And even the person who wants to withdraw consent will think that if I do it now, will I be called a tease? You were teasing me. You were leading me on. Why did you come this far if you did not want to do it? And how can I stop now? These are the things that come to our mind. But whatever it is, even in the middle of sexual activity, if I feel that no, I don't want to proceed any further, and I say stop, that person has to stop. So this is something that is called building a culture of consent, as again the culture of oppression or domination, and that's very important. So our law again is coming into the picture, that we amended the law, added so many other things, but still this behavior is not stopping. And I had shown you one slide of the statistics before where it said that 50% of our country is going through this. The other statistics we found is that 50% cases get reported, 50% don't get reported. So often we don't know where to report, how to report it. We are confused about, is this something that we need to report? The other thing is the shame and stigma attached to it. The blot on our family, that is so true. First of all, we deny it, because if we have to accept it, then we have to do something about it. Instead, deny, yeah, so much is not happening. Then, even if we accept, we are quiet about it. Why? Because we are embarrassed. There is a lot of shame in talking about these things. And so much of the stigma is on the victim or the survivor, as we call them. So we have to cross these barriers. And how do we do it? We do it by using what we call the rights-based language. We don't use the morality-based language where we don't take the names of our genitals. We teach our children their body parts, but we don't teach them those body parts. So that is something that we have to change. And if you look at this video, let's see if you follow this. And if not, you can tell me, type in the chat box if you can't follow it, and I'll stop the video.
Look, imagine a tree. What is it made up of?
Spinach.
What is, see, a shoe rack is made up of? And a center table?
Wood.
Yes, correct.
Something we have in our body that is hard.
Ball.
Okay.
Dada has.
What do we not show?
जो चीज पहनते हैं पर दिखाते नहीं है.
जो चीज पहनते हैं पर दिखाते नहीं है. क्या बात हुई यार?
Mummy tells you before wearing your jeans, you should wear your
underwear. Underwear.
So you can say it loud, it's okay.
Okay, you've seen this in ads on TV, which girls use.
तो उसमें अक्षय कुमार का एक ऐड आया था स्टार्टिंग में.
गंदे चीजों से बचाने.
And then when you come to the bathroom with me, you say, "Oh, mama." What does mama use then?
A pad.
When he doesn't know this one also. Okay.
She won't know that.
पता नहीं, उसका नाम आपने कभी नहीं बताया मेरे को पढ़ाई में.
What can the stranger do to you?
किडनैप. बोला था बहुत खतरनाक चीज है वो. टच करने में.
क्या बोलते उसको?
नन्ही.
90% of children are sexually abused by someone they know. And
could you understand the experiment that was conducted? What happens is when we talk of commonplace things like wood and bone, people can describe it very easily. But when we talk of penis, vagina, or menstrual cycles, then people hide their face in embarrassment. Does it happen in your communities too?
Yes, it does a lot.
So when we don't give children the correct language, when we don't encourage them to speak out about their breasts, about their genitals, we don't give them the correct language saying that these are all dirty things, we should not be talking about it. We confuse them and we scare them into silence. That if I talk about it, I'll be scolded. I don't know what to call that. He touched me somewhere. So this is the issue in so many of this abuse, that the child is not allowed to talk about it openly. When it comes to sex or sexual matters, people are so embarrassed because sex is considered a thing of nighttime, in the dark, behind closed doors. You don't talk about it. You don't do it in public. And when a child asks something, a question about something sexual, they're scolded and told to keep quiet because they'll be called dirty children. And this makes them keep quiet about their abuse also. And this is something the perpetrator takes advantage of. In 90% of the cases, the abuse is by someone known to the child. And we still want children of stranger danger. We don't want children to be beware of their own. It is somebody from the trusted circle who abuses the child. That person could be anybody, a family member, a family friend, a neighbor, a school teacher. And they take advantage of the fact that the children don't have a rights-based language, are not allowed to talk about sex. They use coercion, they use threats to make the child keep quiet and not talk about it. And they do this by a process called grooming. They groom the child to accept the abuse. And grooming is possible because they don't have awareness of their personal boundaries. Ria, you wanted to say something?
Yes, ma'am, I just wanted to share a story which just happened with me recently. So it's one of my cousin. So it's just came like a shock for everyone. So she been sexually abused by her father since her childhood, like 8 years. And he used to tell her that do not tell anyone. It's just he used to sort of blackmail her in a particular way. And she was like, okay. And initially she didn't feel anything wrong in that because she was just growing up in that way. And so he also made her watch like blue films and pictures and everything. And now when she in 12th, so he again tries to touch her. Like she realized this thing in 10th class and she's tried to stop him. And she even shared this thing with her grandmother and didn't with her mother because her grandmother told her that don't tell your mother about this because they can have a divorce or maybe something bad can happen between them, so don't tell about it. And now when she died on so when she died, so after that he again touched him, and on that day she like she's a very good friend of mine, so she shared it with me, and then I told her mother about it. And after that he stopped, and her mother is so sacrificing, like very sacrificing, and she is now thought of scolding her daughter only, because and she is saying it that okay, you used to be in that way only, you used to be like those girls who never respect their elders, and who are like into very different things which is not morally correct, which are not morally correct, and that's why he tries to touches you. So this all like very shocking to me.
It is so sad, horrifying. And this is exactly what happens to children. That one, they are told to keep quiet. Two, often they are not believed. Three, they are blamed for it. And this becomes the worst sort of, I mean, the trauma gets compounded. So how do we teach children their personal boundaries? By giving them the correct language and telling them that they have the right to say no. So many things can stop at that stage itself. Because what is the impact of all this? We need to see the impact. How, in different ways, the child grows up taking that trauma, carrying that trauma throughout the life. The productivity of each person who has undergone any form of child sexual abuse, if we calculate the total productivity, it goes down by 40%. A person who's scared of the dark because something happened to them in the dark will not take a job which entails working till late. So many such things. Yes, victim shaming and blaming. So I would like to share a video here. I hope you all are following through the subtitles, because these are important videos that you should see and get an idea as to how things progress.
राधा,
Yeah.
अब साल से ज़्यादा हो गए, we've been friends.
Good now that we're friends.
But you know ना, that हमारे बीच में there's something more. I mean, a little more than friendship, है ना?
More than friendship? What more than friendship?
राधा, पता नहीं मैं बोलूँ या ना बोलूँ, but अरे, how stupid of me. Wait, I've got something for you.
Okay. Thank you, Radha, for always being there for me. I can't live without you, Radha. I love you, Radha. I love you too, Raghav.
Hey, what happened? You okay? Radha, look at me.
Don't touch me. How dare you touch me? Just go away. Just go away.
Radha.
राधा, अपनी सबसे प्यारी राधा बिटिया के लिए क्या लाए सोम अंकल? राधा, look at me.
Before we proceed, I'm so sorry to hear this, Margaret. And I'm I mean, it is so nice of you to share it here, because all of us get that validation that these things happen to other people, and we need to rise above this of not listening to children, not believing them. And that is the sort of safe space we need to provide our children at least. Right?
Yes, I believe so. I believe so because honestly, for me, the reason why I am a youth advocate in sexual reproductive health and rights and specifically gender-based violence, it's because at that time when I was 9 and 10, I kept telling my parents about or guardians about giving them hints because in our African tradition, you can't approach things directly. So I kept on giving them hints, telling them what was happening in my life, but they didn't take any consideration or they didn't put any effort to know why is she saying that. And because that family member was somebody who was believed in the family, like a father figure in the family, I didn't stand a chance to tell people, by the way, this person has been touching me. This person has been, advancing on me. And that's the reason why I believe that at that time when I was raped the first time, I felt so bad about myself and my self-confidence was so low. And that's the reason why, because of that trauma, I felt like there are so many things that was happening in my life. And I don't know, I just felt bad about myself. So later when I was after like 4 years, when I was in Form 1, when I was joining my secondary school, I was raped again. And I feel like that is a sequence that could have been prevented if really my parents and guidance took that opportunity to listen to me, to talk to me, to tell me about what I should really do, And the first step of them actually being the, guardian name, it's not like just guarding me, giving me protection. I should have been able to believe them that they can actually protect me from bad people, no matter how close they are in the family. So that's the reason why I do believe that parents do play a very, very big role when it comes to sexual harassment and when it comes to rape. Because even at now, I am a 22-year-old and I'm advocating for sexual reproductive health and rights in Kenya. But now there's some traumas that take too much time. There are some traumas that cannot. Sometimes you do something and maybe it fails. And the first thing that you ask yourself is it that I'm not lucky? Is it that God do not love me? Or is it that I'm not enough? That's the reason why I'm going through this. So it's just a scar that has never healed completely. But at the end of it all, we in those scars we find a reason to advocate for the rights of young girls so that they cannot pass through what you're going through, and the ones that have been through, they can actually see a role model in you and see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and also be motivated to do what they really believe in, pursue their dreams, and do what they really love in their heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Margaret, for sharing. And this is exactly what we need to do. That if only somebody had believed me, if only somebody had listened to me, then this wouldn't have happened to me. And when things go wrong, we keep tying it back to that event. That is it because God doesn't love me, that all these bad things are happening to me. But at the same time, I think you're so brave to work for female sexual health advocacy and preventing gender-based violence. Because at least what happened to us need not happen to somebody else. Because everything leaves its own scar. That scar never heals.
Radha.
So how does that scar come in? It could be some emotional reaction, like we said, that depression, anxiety, anger, aggressiveness, self-pity, self-loathing. Sometimes we have these triggers like Radha showed, that somebody touching her chin or saying, look at me, she goes back to that time of the trauma. So anything can trigger us even when we are functioning normally. Suddenly something comes back to remind us of what had happened at that time. So these triggers or these flashbacks does not allow us to function properly. Then there is always that feeling of maybe I deserved it. That self-perception gets changed. That maybe I did something. So like Ria was also saying, that the mother herself is telling the daughter that the way you behave, the clothes you wore, that is why this happened to you. How can a child ever be blamed for something that somebody who's older to her has done? What right does anyone have to decide what sort of clothes a child should wear? Everybody has a right to wear whatever they want, do whatever they like. That doesn't give anyone the right to force themselves on the child. But we grow up thinking that maybe I should not have worn such a low neck. Maybe I should wear close neck clothes. Maybe I should wear loose clothes because that tight body hugging dress that I wore, that was the time it happened. So maybe it was that clothes that attracted him to me and made him force himself on me. So we keep having a distorted self-perception that I caused it, I deserve it, I'm not worthy of love. And these voices in our head can lead to substance abuse, can lead to suicide. So we have to prevent that. And for preventing it, we need to educate our elders. We need to give children a safe space to grow in. And giving them a safe space, a lot of it involves making adults empathetic and willing to listen to the child and believe the child. So when we tell children that you can come and talk to us, you can ask us what is happening, you can tell us what is happening and ask us to take care of whatever is going wrong in your life. That time we need to educate the adults that they need to provide a safe space for children. It's not their fault. So that is why we say that as a Rakshan, our role is to create awareness so that children have a safe space, be comfortable with language, address it by first recognize it that something is wrong with this child. Why is she crying all the time? Or why is she not playing? Or maybe some children can become excessively confident because the abusers are playing on their side and saying that you're so beautiful. So come out with me. Wear such clothes. You're so beautiful. So any change in that behavior, it could be a positive one or a negative one, but a change in behavior needs to be observed and discussed. Talk to the child, and that is when we'll be able to enroll help. So I'll show you a small clip where there is a way of talking to the child, and this is definitely not the right.
चलो बच्चे बताओ what happened? Why are you feeling shy? क्या हुआ? कुछ नहीं. सुनो अगर आप मुझे अच्छा अगर आप मुझे नहीं बताओगे क्या हुआ है तो मैं कैसे मदद करूंगी आपकी? क्या किसी ने आपको मारा है? तो फिर क्या हुआ? आप मुझे बताओ. दीदी को नहीं बताओगे अब क्या हुआ? You silly boy. How will I know if you don't tell me? आपके साथ कोई गंदी चीज हुई है क्या? नहीं. अगर आपने मुझे नहीं बताया तो मैं आपके मम्मी पापा को बोल दूंगी that you are lying. That जीवन is a liar. I will tell them. नहीं मैं झूठ नहीं बोल रहा. तो फिर आप मुझे बता भी नहीं रहे हो क्या हुआ? Did something even happen to you? Are you lying? Did somebody abuse you? Did somebody hit you? No. Nobody hit you? No. Then what happened? Hey. ये देखो, ये रोना धोना बंद करो. Did you tell anyone before this? Then how will I know? I'm here to help you. Listen, you have to focus. If you don't tell me your whole story, I will not be able to help you. मैं आपकी मदद कैसे करूंगी?
What is lacking here? What do you think is lacking here? Anyone wants to talk about it? Did she
Yes,
build a
so I
rapport?
think
Yeah, tell me.
yeah, I think that the use of language was not appropriate for such a young child. So I feel like there was a lot of hostility in the way she was trying to communicate to
Yes,
the child, and
yes.
that will make him shy away from actually speaking out. So that wasn't the right approach.
Correct. And on similar lines, Samantha is also saying that there was no compassion and understanding, that the way of asking was not correct, as also lack of empathy and patience and understanding. Yes, Margaret? You would like to say something, Margaret?
I think it's very, very important if a parent is actually approaching a certain behavior that he or she has noticed in a child. I think it's very, very important for them to empathize and be in the shoe of that child and try to understand that they cannot be acting like that just out of the blues. They have to have something that is actually bothering them. And the reason why I have raised my hand is because that is the same way that when I was expressing myself, they told me that, you know we are here for you. Why are you telling us that? Those things. And the tone actually made me feel judged, and it made me feel like I'm misunderstood. So basically, what I'm saying is it's very, very important if you're approaching a certain matter and you actually notice a certain behavior in a child. It's very, very important for you to sit down with them, listen to their story first, give them an opportunity to speak their mind without interrupting them and without telling them and giving them another tone or a bad tone, which may lead to that child will feel more misunderstood, and also most importantly they will feel that they are not protected. I think.
Absolutely. So, and do you realize that it's a boy who's facing that? Equal number of boys get abused because the abuser is doing it for the power that he has over the child and for his own sexual gratification. They don't always need a girl to abuse. Even boys can give them that sexual gratification. So, and we go through life thinking that what is going to happen to you? You're a boy, nothing can happen to you. But when it is sexual abuse of a child, equal number of boys get abused. And we have another video which brings out the story. Let's watch that. The same girl,
चलो बच्चे बताओ what happened.
but asking it in a different way, with empathy, with kindness, in a not judgmental manner. So let's watch this.
Hello जीवन, how are you feeling today? आपने लंच खाया?
यस
क्या खाया आपने लंच में?
भिंडी दाल चावल।
ओ भिंडी तो मैंने भी आज खाई. It's my favorite.
मेरी भी फेवरेट है।
वाओ, आपके स्कूल में क्या चल रहा है? Are you enjoying yourself? कुछ हुआ क्या स्कूल में? अच्छा ठीक है, ये बताओ, डू यू प्ले स्पोर्ट्स?
यस।
आपका फेवरेट गेम कौन सा है?
क्रिकेट।
ओ क्रिकेट, तो आप रोज क्रिकेट खेलते हो?
हाँ।
वाओ, आप अपना मुझे थोड़ा डेली स्केड्यूल बताओ.
पहले मैं स्कूल जाता हूँ
और फिर स्कूल से आने के बाद फिर मैं अपने अंकल के घर चला जाता हूँ, परेश अंकल, और मैं वहाँ पे अपने मम्मी पापा का वेट करता हूँ।
अच्छा, हुज परेश अंकल? नेबर है आपके? क्या करते हो आप उनके साथ?
स्वॉर्ड फाइटिंग।
ओह, तो आपको स्वॉर्ड फाइटिंग अच्छा लगता है?
पहले अच्छा लगता था लेकिन अब पसंद नहीं है।
क्यों, क्या हुआ?
अंकल चीटिंग करते हैं।
हाँ, चीटिंग करना तो बहुत बुरी बात होती है। क्या किया उन्होंने?
रूल्स बदल दिए।
आपसे बिना पूछे चेंज कर दिए?
मैंने बोला था।
अच्छा, फिर?
दर्द होता है।
कहाँ दर्द होता है आपको?
उन्होंने अपने गोदी में बैठाया और फिर मुझे यहाँ दर्द होता है।
एनस में?
जहाँ से पॉटी करते हैं।
हाँ, उसे एनस बोलते हैं। बोलो मेरे साथ, एनस।
एनस। लेकिन आप अंकल को नहीं बताओगे?
नहीं, मैं बिल्कुल नहीं बताऊंगी।
अंकल मुझे मार देंगे।
नहीं, कोई नहीं मारेगा आपको। मैं हूं ना यहाँ आपके पास, आई प्रॉमिस यू। लेकिन हम ये बात आपके मम्मी पापा को तो बता सकते हैं ना?
नहीं, पापा डांटेंगे।
जीवन, आप बिल्कुल भी मत डरो, ठीक है? Whatever has happened, it's not your fault and we will find a solution to this, okay?
ओके।
और अगली बार से अगर आपको कोई भी गेम्स में नहीं पार्टिसिपेट करना है, नहीं खेलना है, अनकंफर्टेबल लग रहा है, तो आप हमेशा नो बोल सकते हो, ओके? बोलोगे आप मेरे साथ नो? नो
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 नो।
Same girl, same child. But she does it in such a different way. She first establishes a rapport. He's not willing to talk even then. But she takes it in different directions. She asks different sorts of questions and makes him open up, which is what we need. So much better. Yes, Emily, you're right. And we got the story out. We got the story out of a neighbor who offers to babysit him. And then what was a game of sword fighting that he liked became a nightmare for him because something was being inserted. You lose, you sit on my lap, and something is being inserted into the anus. So, this is the way people who know the child can take advantage of the child and then silence them. Uncle will kill me. Maybe he has threatened him. Don't tell my father, he will scold me because the father doesn't know how to talk to the child. So, this is the process of grooming that we are talking about. And if we can recognize this, if we can tell the adults around us that watch out, don't believe every friend and every neighbor in your vicinity. Be careful, listen to what the children say. Children may not be willing to talk because they don't know whom to tell, how to tell. They don't know whether they will be believed or called a liar. Maybe they are being threatened. Maybe they even feel that somebody whom I'm supposed to respect, that person, how can I carry such tales about them? But if we talk to them in an empathetic manner, they will tell us. So these people who groom the child, they first gain the trust, make friends with them, then they isolate the child, then they sexualize the interaction. And at this stage, so often the child is asked, why did you tell us? When he touched you the first time, you should have told me. But how do I say it? You should have stopped him. How do I stop him? He's so much bigger than I am. And will he feel bad if I say stop it? Because when we are saying 90% of the abusers are someone known to the child, that person may be somebody whom the child loves, somebody whom the child cares for. Maybe in every other way, the person is good, except for this thing, which is such a big thing. The child doesn't know how to object to it. And the child thinks that, okay, if giving in to this will keep that person happy with me, I will accept it. I will let them do it. So that is how control is maintained by telling the child that let's share the secret only between us. Don't tell anyone else. You tell someone and see what I do to you. If you tell them, they won't believe you. Go right ahead and tell them. So if we can recognize these things and raise our voice against it, then we will be able to protect children. So that is why we say that be a leader, be a Rakshan. And some small things that I would like to add here, that we do have some fellowships which will take you through more levels of learning. You're on the blue dot now, and we will take you till the golden star. Through multiple levels, we'll be sharing an enrollment form with you too. We'll be sharing two forms now. One is a completion form which you have to fill up that has your knowledge, has your attitude changed after this. And the other is an enrollment form for these future levels. And when you complete all these levels, you'll be able to recognize, address, identify, de-escalate, report, and resolve residual problems. So these are all the things that we would like to give you. Apart from that, we also wish that you should share your creativity on your own social media. Tag us with that. And if you're interested, please do tell Ria and we will take you through some mentoring sessions to improve your creativity. And it could be anything. It could be a small post on your social media. Put that there and tag us, right? Because unless you tag us and give permission to see it, we will not be able to see this post of yours. So create content which will start a conversation on child sexual abuse and its prevention. And then we will give you some mentoring chances. If you're interested, you can always get in touch with Ria. So the secret here is in breaking this cycle of violence. The cycle of sexual violence starts from child sexual abuse, goes on to tolerating sexual violence throughout life, managing it, saying that we have to take care of ourselves. We tolerate domestic violence, we tolerate intimate partner violence, we tolerate sexual harassment at workplace. And finally, we come back to telling our children, the next generation, these things happen. They happen to me, they will happen to you. Just take care of yourself. So when we break this cycle by telling the abuser, don't do it, telling the child that you need not tolerate it, you have been a victim of child sexual abuse, we will protect you, we will stand by you. That is when this cycle will break. So we want you to say that you will neither do it nor allow anyone else to do it. So Ria, you could put the 3 maxims in English in the chat box. I will not do it and I will not let others do it. If I see it happening, I will try to stop it. And if it has already happened, I will raise my voice. Because abusers get away with the abuse because nobody raises their voice. So let's make a collective effort to call out the abuse so that people get shamed and decide to stop doing it. So make a commitment card for yourself. That's something that you learned new here and some small thing that you will do to prevent this. And as I said, this is a digital world. Are you putting sentences, Ria, in the chat box? So this is a digital world. We are on social media. Do follow us, follow these handles and see what else we are doing in this field. Our thought leader, Smita Bharati, is the designer of this project and she works in theatre and social art media. Social art interventions. She's a director, actor, writer, everything. And Naina Kapoor is a lawyer of national and international fame, and she is the co-founder of Sakshi. As for me, I've been talking to you since so long, so you know who I am. And Ria has also given my very nice introduction. So the mandatory things are filling the attendance form, attending this webinar, and filling the completion form. The optional things, but I do wish you will do it. Upload a testimonial on your social media, tag us there and give us permission to see it. Right? So let's come back to the questions. I invite you to ask whatever you wish to. And meanwhile, Emily had asked whether we will be sharing the presentation. I'm so sorry, Emily, we won't be able to share the presentation, but any questions that you have, any doubts that you have, I'm here for you. So if you would like my number, I can enter it here and you can get in touch with me anytime. WhatsApp has made things so easy. Right? So do enroll for this and we'll take you through the next level. Next levels, in fact. So any doubts that you have? Any questions? Was there any question in the chat box, Anisha? Right.
Everyone can switch on their cameras for a moment so that we can take a screenshot.
Love to see you. I would love to see all of you from different parts of the world. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kavita. Thank you, Emily.
Few more faces, please.
A full screen. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you, Lydia. Gladwell is coming on. Hi. Who else is switching on? Pranjal. Come on. Samantha, Nora, and Francois. These are the only ones who have their cameras off. Thank you, Samantha. Have you done it, Anisha?
Yes, done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any questions? Anything else you would like to share?
Yes.
Yes, Lydia.
Yeah, so I'm a sports person.
Mhm.
And when we talk about child abuse, sometimes I'm confused to understand which age exactly. So I witness the same things happening in the sports camps where the leaders take advantage of vulnerable,
Correct.
talented young boys and girls. And sometimes just because they are maybe over 18, a little bit over, now they are assumed to be like old enough to protect. I don't know why it's like it's never looked at as an abuse, but I see these leaders taking advantage of these young people, whereby maybe you are in a camp where they need to choose just few to travel outside, and you feel like this is the only chance for you to travel outside or to represent your country, which is a very big task, or maybe it's like most privileged thing that can ever happen to you. And then there comes with some scratch my back, I scratch your back. And so many people have been, I have witnessed this, I've seen it. I know some of the victims, but just because they are over 18, people people normally say, those are grown-ups. So I'm always I feel like I'm helpless, especially when this happens, and I'm like, so where or how do we handle such?
Correct. So, Lydia, I completely agree with you that once they are 18, we start saying you're old enough to take care of yourself, but they're really not. But when we empower our children, so we start with giving children a safe space, the smaller ones, and as they approach adolescence, we need to teach them about responsible sexuality. We need to teach them about consent, and withholding consent is absolutely acceptable. And you need to raise your voice and say no firmly because you have your personal boundary. So, if we can create more awareness about this, then maybe we can help these just over 18 people also to take care of themselves in a better way. Do you agree?
I do agree.
It's
Thank you.
all a matter of awareness. So, if we can create more and more awareness about these things, then they may be better equipped because it is a big thing to represent your country, but at the same time, not at the cost of your own body, right? your mind, your body, everything gets, it's a rape of all of it, not just your body.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lydia. Anything else that you would like to ask?
I saw that there is level 2 of this fellowship.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, I would really love to really just get more of this, because at this time, like, we are in a world where a lot of things are happening. Even some of us, we went through these abuses and we've been lied to like it's like normal, and it's not. And sometimes we feel helpless. How do we go about this? How do we raise the awareness? So yeah, I love this training. I'm so grateful. And I also want to apologize for joining late. Actually, like, when you say 25th, so in Kenya right now it's 24th. And
Oh.
yeah, so I was just guessing, like, okay, let me see if this time is really not the same. So I'm very sure a lot of people missed out due to this.
Oh.
Yeah, so just because I was really anticipating for this training, I was like, let me just
Okay.
guess, and
Right.
like maybe put on the alarm before the 20. Yeah, so sorry for coming in late, and yeah, now I know we are a day
Yeah.
behind.
So we have to say 25th this time IST, Indian Standard Time. Then you can set your
Yeah.
clock to that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. So, do we end, Ria?
Yes, sure, ma'am. I didn't realize about it. I mentioned that it's according to Indian Standard Time, but
Okay.
many of them missed the
Hmm.
session due to this silly mistake I made. Sorry, everybody.
No.
I'm late today. So, okay, if nobody has any questions, so we can end the session. And there is a very powerful quote I can know. Just a minute. Sorry. So let's start with it. In order to escape accountability for his crimes, the perpetrator does everything in his power to promote forgetting. If secrecy fails, the perpetrator attacks the creditability of his victim. And if he cannot silence her, absolutely he tries to make sure nobody listens that. And therefore, there is so much power in this two-word sentence, no. So we do say no. And yes, if I'm saying, it's no. If I'm silent, it's no. And if I am not sure, it's again no. There is no yes. And when I say yes, only then it means yes. No ups and no downs to it. And when I say yes, it's yes. And when I say no and all other terms I mentioned, it's no only. And I would like to thank you, ma'am, for giving your precious time here to enlighten us with a lot of things. And yes, I feel for many of us, it's like it was a safe space to share the stories, the way people share here with you. And we sort of able to get out of that trauma we face once we
Correct.
share it with someone who is very creditable and accountable to that. And all of us feel that with you, ma'am. And thank you for coming.
Thank
And
you.
I would like to thank all of you who come and joined us, even after this timing.
Mix up about the timing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, everyone.
Absolutely. So we do have one question, Ria, which I have not understood. Does a link on sexual abuse on children is only for one country or is it an international one? So basically, the link is to the Google Forms. Guys, if you understand, that we have shared two links. One is a completion form and the other is a enrollment form for the next level. And that is a WhatsApp group. So a WhatsApp group link will be for any country. Does it answer your question? This enrollment form that you can also enroll in level 2, that is a link to a form which has a WhatsApp group link in it. So the link is here. Can you send it again, Anisha? Mariam is asking for the link. Can you send it again? Yeah. Gladwell has put it there.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Gladwell. Oh, I've got a compliment that I'm a good orator. Thanks. So do we end now? Hoping to meet again soon, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for sure.
Thank
you. Bye.
Bye. We'll meet
Bye,
again.
everyone. Bye, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Right.